Hello, as we now reach, welcome all to the BJ Shows 2025 AFL Grand Final and the first time in history in the AFL. Let's get on with the show. So, before we get in, so make sure you subscribe down below on your screen and like this if you like today's show. So it's a big show here today. What is on today's show? Aiden will share all his thoughts and reviews of the grand final and all that. So, but we are here for Geelong in Brisbane, the road to the grand final. Each round I'll share and post and all that. We'll share the 2025 AFL Grand Final reviews and post-reviews. And the first time Gold Coast Suns rode to their first ever AFL Finals in club history. So, before we get into the main part of today's show, we are going to share Geelong Cats. As now we start off Geelong Cats, that's it. We got round 1 to 8. So I'm going to break it in half and how Geelong start their first part of the season for the first 8 rounds. So on your screen, if I can make. Okay, so I'm going to break it into 2 parts and I'm going to now share it all. So on your screen, first up, Geelong versus Free until round 1. Final score 147 to 69 down at Canadian Park, which is down at Geelong. So KB is Canadian Park, if you're not sure that's exactly what it means. So I think Geelong started really well. They always start well against really reasonable, not in top 8 quality sides, but Free until, for years to make titles, but I'm showing that now. But I think Geelong started very strongly. So we now come to round 2 down at Marble Stadium against St Kilda. St Kilda took the job down. Big winners. Good start to Geelong against Fremantle at home down at Canadian Park in Geelong at GMHBA Stadium. It's the common of what's the name of the stadium? And 7 point defeat. They always do against St Kilda. They always struggled. Then it took down to the gutter. They did it again. Now this is one of the couple times they met this season, and this was at the gutter. Brisbane versus Geelong. Last time these two met was at the 20 final, which Geelong defeated Geelong at the MCG. But my goodness, these two are always going to be a close game, and that's where it struggled with Geelong. Then they took back down to Geelong at Canadian Park at GMHBA Stadium. Geelong were taking on Melbourne. Geelong just got that win back 85 to 46. That was a much better. That was a good solid win there. Now we come to the halfway mark. Winning was going towards Geelong in a massive way, and it went to the gutter. Now we went to the gutter round, which is a festival of football. It's held in Adelaide, and it's been around for the last 3 years. Hopefully more to come, but it's always a really good choice. Adelaide always takes on good challenges. Adelaide, Melbourne, now Geelong. That's from Adelaide's point of view. Geelong, this was a big test. Adelaide is a high-scoring team, and they took the job in front of 54,000. Then they went to the MCG for Easter Monday traditional against the Hawthorn Hawks. Hawthorn really took them on, but Geelong always find ways to take the job done. And that was round 6 at the MCG. Then, back-to-back, Collingwood took them on and took the big winner in round 7. This is where Geelong struggled so much in this first part of the wins. At the MCG, Carlton, lucky was Hawthorn taking on them. Then it was Brisbane on the road and St Kilda. St Kilda and Carlton, the bottom teams, are beating a team who were a top 4 side. And Geelong struggled. Then it came against, once again, 3 games at the MCG in a row. And Collingwood had everything to win this game. Geelong will be in massive trouble, but Geelong hold on against their rivals. Collingwood is one of the biggest rivals in the AFL as well, Collingwood and Carlton. So, what do you think of this start, Geelong fans? Really interesting start. But it was a really rocky start, and I think you agree with me, Aiden, that why did Geelong made it deeply? Why they came really good, and there's so much good games to come today's show. But let's get into the next part of our show, which we continue on the road for Geelong, round 19 to 16. So, breaking down each game, which I'm going to do. So the first 4 games on your left, they took on GWS at home. One of the biggest losses that always GWS Giant finds ways to beat Geelong in Geelong, which is not easy. Very hard to do. 5-4 point down at Lady Park at GMHBA Stadium in Geelong. Then this changes, ladies and gentlemen. This change humongous. Put Adelaide Oval. Put Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. This is one of the biggest defeats with the year. This is one of the biggest defeats of the year at Adelaide Oval on the road. Back at Geelong on a Friday night, round 11. I remember this game. Western Bulldogs took everything out of them, but Geelong just found a way, another high scoring victory, and then West Coast at Stadium in Perth. So just slowly getting into it. Then they took on Gold Coast. Now, this final score right here was very messy, low scoring. Pretty brave effort for Gold Coast to have won that game. Then they took on Essendon Geelong, MCG first. Well, first game since round 11, round 10. If you remember that, that's all good. That was their first game at the MCG against Essendon. Round 14, Essendon Geelong. Yeah, first game since round 10. And I can't believe, no, a bit more early in the season. Between 1 and 8, that was the first 3 games out of 8 rounds. This is their 4th MCG game and biggest defeat, and it was against Essendon. Then another game at Kitty Park. This changed again, and the score what Essendon put on, they minus 5 points defeat. At Kitty Park, another defeat. And this, since round 9, lost. 6 games later, they took on Brisbane Lions. They got smacked. Geelong just finds ways that Brisbane's not team they do not like. They hate each other. And this is why Brisbane are so good. I will respect to Chris Scott later in the show. He's a former Brisbane Lion player, so he knows the culture really well. But we'll explain that soon. We'll explain that very soon here on the BJ Show. In round 16, they had the week off. They really enjoyed that. And this is where Geelong changes their plans. This is how good they came in the last part of the season. So Richmond at the MCG, and this is where all changed. Kennedy Park, Geelong versus Richmond. Then, once again, Geelong lost against GWS Giants. Again, they should win, but GWS Giants found a way to play at, the west of Sydney. NEG Stadium, then back at Geelong, holding on a big win against St Kilda, and another big win at Marvel. Yeah, against North Melbourne, 100 points. That's where Geelong got their key forward, Jeremy Cameron, in a big way. And this is where we come to the second half right on your screen. Port Adelaide at Kennedy Park, better performance by Port, by the way, if you listen to my performance. Then Essendon at Kennedy Park, another big win. Then against again, they find ways to win Geelong, and why did they finish second? And this is an interesting road. Sydney by 17 points, and that was a big win. That was a statement. And then Richmond at the MCG. So there you have it. What do you think? Love to hear from you. But before we I hope you like this. Subscribe down below if you want more content like this. I think this will be a really good thing. I'm thinking of doing like a season each team, besides Geelong and Brisbane, or as well as Gold Coast, we said in the intro. I'm thinking of doing like each season review and why and all that. So I'm thinking of doing something like that. What do you think? Comments down below. If you wish, like or subscribe, even better. Then I comment like that. So yeah. Now we're coming up with the Brisbane Lions. What a season. Well, did they go back to back? Funny. We'll find out. Let's get on with it. So round 8, we're going to do the same thing like Geelong Cat. How did they go to September, which we have not yet said. So let's get straight into it. Do apologise for making it a bit more quicker. So I'll go to the first 5 rounds on your screen. So look, Sydney versus Brisbane. Look, big winners to Brisbane. It was very messy. The grand final rematch. I believe this broadcast should be a Friday night in Sydney under light. This is a grand final. You should always play your grand final rematch, no matter what it is. That's just me, because when you have a Melbourne broadcast team like Geelong, it will be live. So that's just me, but I think that's what it will be. Brisbane versus West Coast. This was at home, Regatta. Now, talking about Brisbane, you'll see during the season, Brisbane had some struggles games at home, and we'll discuss about that, and that's an incredible effort record. Big big win against Geelong, big winners at home. You got to win big at home, and that's exactly what Brisbane did. On the road to Richmond, and look, Brisbane got challenged. The Premiers got challenged against a team started their season well against Richmond. So congratulations to Richmond, but Brisbane too good at the end of the show. And we come to round 5 early in today's program for Brisbane, and they took just holding on. We'll double check what NO stands for. I do apologise what that stands for on your screen, but Western Bulldogs and Brisbane. So, yeah, next game is, well, for the next couple of rounds, 6 and 7, Brisbane and Collingwood. Brisbane got the heavy defeat. There's a miracle to happen against Brisbane and Collingwood. We'll share that very soon. And St Kilda and Brisbane at Marble Stadium. Big winners for Brisbane there. And to end round 8 against that huge clash by 17 points. And Gold Coast really got them. And that was at the gutter. So round 9 to 16. First up was at in Tasmania. This is the best game for North Melbourne. Took on the 20th. Then they took on North Melbourne at home. I apologise. Melbourne on my screen, and Melbourne got them. This is the second defeated at the gather. Brave FM, and the team did not even play final. The other team did play final. Next game was at the MCG against Hawthorn. Hawthorn did all, but Brisbane just got the strong victory. And round 12, which was Essendon, and Essendon gave it all. You know, they were a little bit too short, but you can't uncredit an 18-point defeat the gather. You know, Brisbane should won a lot more, but Essendon gave it all. And we come to, this is the biggest lie in my opinion. Brisbane should won that. But 8 points in a quarter, Brisbane came the worst quarter for the year. And I went to that game. The weather was wet. Adelaide found a way, defeated a very good team in the Premiership of 2024. And this is round 13 really changed Brisbane's material. They did not meet in the final. It'll be a very scary thought about that. We come at the gutter. This is a mother defeat. GWS Giants should be on top 4 this year. They beated the best team in the game and Geelong. Both on the road, GWS, and winning back the same margin, between 4 and 10 points. Brave efforts. We came to round 15 at Kardinia Park. Geelong versus Brisbane, and Brisbane knew how good Geelong can be at Kardinia Park, and they got another big win after their heavy defeat at home. And they had the week off. They were due for a very important week off. So let's get into the last part of the round of the Brisbane Lions on this season. So round 17-24, and this is what I want to break down. This is a season that Brisbane totally changed. Big winners. You know, this is something that we come to round 17 to round 18 at the Marble Stadium. Big winners, and this is really changing Brisbane's not just victory, but their culture. They won the last 3 in a row. Then they came from the gutter to take on Gold Coast Stadium. They two clashed, and they got heavy defeat after 3 wins. Big loss. With injuries going through the club, with coming in against Collingwood, big winners. This changed their game plan. After they're missing Hipwood, they lowered Morris, the number 13 for the Brisbane Lions forward. Absolute change. Brisbane Lions generally their game plan. Then they took on, Brisbane took on Sydney, and guess what happens? Sydney won by 2 points. Won the massive third or fourth game this season that Brisbane got defeated at home. That's huge. LA only lost 1 game in the Premiership season, and LA finished top. Why LA was so good? But getting back to the Brisbane Premiership season at Optus Stadium, this is the win Brisbane needed in. No matter by how much, it's performance. This changes Brisbane and then against Hawthorn at home. So for the final round. So there you have it. Now, on your screen, we have the qualification final. Wow, this is big. After 3 meetings in a row, from the final 2024, from early in the season at the gutter, then just recent, down at the Kardinia Park, the Geelong Cats got a big revenge back, but we got more finals. The semi-final, Brisbane versus Gold Coast. Brisbane. Now, how did Gold Coast got there? Who did they verse? Well, Brisbane got the job done over Gold Coast by a very comfortable margin by 53 points. Geelong had the week off. 20 finals. Now, I do apologise that Collingwood We're also playing, and Fremantle we're also playing as well, if we're all getting a bit confused with as well, Hawthorn. Geelong were the first team to make to the big road, to the big G, to the big dance. Collingwood and Brisbane, as I mentioned, I do apologise about them. Collingwood, 71 to 100 Brisbane. Now, before we got into major part of that now, before we get to Aiden's thoughts, there you have it. What do you think? Put your thoughts down below. What do you think of this? What do you think of the final series? I'd love to hear your film. Make sure you like, subscribe down below. Let's get a big goal of 1,000 subscribers. Let's get this community. Do you like this kind of content? Do you want me to do with NBL, National Basketball League, with the women's as well? Do you want me to do this kind of videoing? I'm happy to put something together. I'm happy to do all this, but I'm also going to do audio as well. Make sure if you like the podcast, go and see it wherever you get your podcast, on Apple, Spotify, all the famous, podcast, YouTube as well. That's all on podcast. So yeah. So Aiden's time to share your thoughts, mate, for the 2025 AFL Grand Final post with you. Take it away.
Alright, Ben, I'm just going to jump in here quickly and give my thoughts on the grand final as we're going through today's show. So we start off, first quarter. This always was going to be a very, very hotly contested first quarter. I'm just trying to position myself in the camera as well. Hotly contested first quarter of football, but it was Geelong who did win that first quarter 2-3 to Brisbane 1-6. So Brisbane doing what Brisbane's done a lot this year, where they get a lot of scoreboard pressure, they get a lot of scoring opportunities, but they don't convert them too well in the early stages. Geelong, minimal scoring opportunities, although it was 5-7. Geelong have the better of it in the first quarter. Second quarter really becomes a real gritty, grind out game, the sort of game that Brisbane love to play. They get 4 goals straight in the quarter to Geelong's 3-3 in the second quarter. So at half time, it is 5-6-36 to 5-6-36. Both teams go in even at the break. Then we come out of half time at Brisbane activating their super sub. This is going to be one that goes down in the record book. This is going to be one that goes down in the history annals as the Brisbane Lions activate the sub. Lachie Neale comes into the game, and from there it was a one-way demolition show. After halftime, Brisbane really turning on the Jets there and just showing Geelong that they were ready. They were the more prepared side for this day. Premiers last year, premiers again this year. Third quarter, Brisbane doesn't look like a lot on the scoreboard here, but it is 4 goals 3 for Brisbane to Geelong's 1 goal 2, and that's really where it really starts to come apart for the Cats at this point. Charlie Cameron, really the game breaker here in that third quarter. He kicked 2 of his 4 goals on the day in that third quarter, and Charlie really just set the pace for the Lions in that third quarter, getting that real game breaking energy that he's known for going against the Cat. Then we come to the final quarter. Game is done. Game's really opened up here. Brisbane, they add 9 goals 5 in the final quarter to Geelong's 5 goals 1 as the game sort of just opens up and we close out. Brisbane, your premiers here, 18-14, 122. Geelong, 11-9, 75. Those are the premiers. Brisbane just ran away with it in that final quarter. Lachie Neale doing the damage, Hugh McCluggage doing the damage, the Big O winning the contest for him. Levi Ashcroft in there, Will Ashcroft in there, Dane Zorko in there. Charlie Cameron snagged himself another one as well. This final quarter was all Brisbane Lions. Geelong just, when the game was over, sort of pegged a few back, but Brisbane were the better side on the day. Clear cut in that second half. They are the outright deserving premiers for season 2025. Now, Norm Smith went to Will Ashcroft, so he is now a dual Norm Smith medalist after picking up the Norm Smith last year as well. Now, do I think he was a good Norm Smith choice? Yeah. Other options could have been McCluggage, could have been Zorko as well. Now, the way I rate the game, and I look, as you've seen here on the program before, I rank players based on how well they break the game open. Who can win those individual battles in the war? Who can turn the tide of the contest in favour of their team when it needs to be turned for one way or the other? And that is why my best on ground for his performance in that third quarter and the start of the fourth quarter, my best on ground is going to be Charlie Cameron in the 2025 AFL Grand Final. Alright, Ben, thank you very much. I will now hand back to you.
Now, the Gold Coast Suns reviews. And thank you, Aiden, for your reviews and thoughts. so much. We're signing out. Catch you all soon. Bye for now.